Well, hello there, my friends, and a warm welcome into another episode of the Web Design MBA podcast. I sure hope you are doing well today. And let's talk about our favorite subject as web designers, content creation. Oh, I know. Just kidding. This is not web designers' favorite subject. However, I think it could be. Maybe not only that it could be, but also maybe it should be. I've often said, and I will continue to say, that if you're hungry for work, the problem is that not enough people know that you do something. Okay, it's like, it's one of the biggest ahas that you can have, I think, in business, is that 60 to 70% of not having enough business, not having enough work is an awareness problem. Another way to think about it, and we'll talk about this, is an attention problem. Okay. Now there's other aspects too. We're going to talk about those as well. But 60, 70, maybe even 80% of the issue is that not enough people know who you are, what you do, and that you have a problem that can be solved, or that they have a problem that you are somebody who can solve. Again, there's lots of other factors that come in here. For example, just telling people that you're a web designer. Well, everybody and their cousin's a web designer these days, right? And so that's where the niche conversation comes in, where it makes sense to dial into a specific niche so people with a specific problem that you solve know that you're the person who can solve it. Okay. And so just, dialing into a niche, even if it's a broad niche, will set you apart and separate you out from the crowd. But 90%, not 90%, let's be realistic, 60 to 70%, somewhere in there, is attention. More people have to know what you do. And the way in today's world to get more people to know what you do is content creation. Volume of output is the name of the game. And in today's world, a volume of output looks like content creation. So this podcast episode, it's not going to be a long one. I'm telling you right now. It's because it doesn't need to be. It's just for one simple thing, to crystallize one simple idea in your mind, that this episode is me giving you the permission that you need to start creating content. Start creating content. Now, when I say start creating content, you also have to be smart about this, okay? Something that you have to do is you have to be in the marketplace. Now, is there a marketplace of people who are going to come to your website and read blogs? Yes, but it is a lot harder to get out in front of that marketplace today than it used to be ever. And searching for information via a blog is not the way that people find information now. Or I should say, it is the way that they maybe find information, but it's not the way that they have their attention grabbed. And so what you're looking to do specifically here is do something to create attention. Okay, so there's 3 steps. This is the simplest content funnel that I could possibly give you. Okay, and there's 3 steps, and my opinion would be that you do work backwards. Okay, I'm going to say them in order, but then we're going to work backwards, and I'm going to give you the steps 3, 2, 1. Okay, to make sure that you are doing the right thing and you've got the right things dialed in. Okay, but the big takeaway from today's podcast episode is that you have permission to go out there and start creating content, preferably a lot of content, preferably every single day, if you can help it, and get more eyeballs on you and who you are. Okay. The first thing you're going to do is to do something for attention to create value. Okay. Attention. That's what you're focused on right now. Attention. You want eyeballs. You want to be able to stand out in a sea of other options, and people say, hey, this looks like a person who can solve the problem I have. Now listen, if you're like me, I know you've heard this advice hundreds of times. I understand that. Forget about the advice right now and just do the thing. Okay. You don't need another YouTube video. You don't need a follow-up podcast after this one. You don't need to research which platform and this, that, and the other thing. Sure, there's some strategy that you can go into there. But my recommendation today would be to start with the platform that you're the most comfortable with and go post something. I mean, like in the next 5 minutes. Go post something on that platform. Some kind of valuable tip. You say it's my personal profile. I don't care. Post it on your personal profile. Do you have any idea the amount of people on my personal Facebook page who are posting their business stuff? Half the time, it's from people that I'm not even closely connected to. Like, frankly, I don't even care about that much, if I'm being honest. And it's MLMs. And I still don't delete them. And the algorithm still shows them my stuff. And I still would never say anything. So, like, you are not annoying people by putting your business stuff in your personal channels. You're just not. Okay? Your business is a part of who you are. Feel free to put that out there as content. So you need to do something for attention. Do it on the platform that you're most comfortable with, that you got the most people on. Your network is how you get stuff done. Okay? Don't ever be afraid to utilize your network and where your network is to get business for your company. So do something for attention to create value. Secondly, is to do something or make something available for retention to build trust. Okay? So a lot of us, this is what happened. I really haven't heard too many people put this into words in quite the way that I'm getting ready to. So I want you to think about this. Okay, in the last 10 to 15 years, the past 10 to 15 years, what today might be considered retention mechanisms used to be attention mechanisms. Okay, blog posts, YouTube videos, podcasts. If you grew up and you've been spending the last 10 to 15 years hearing marketing advice, you may still have the wrong mindset around how to get customers from content, because you may be thinking about retention avenues as attention avenues, and they're not any longer. Okay, retention, blog, Facebook, YouTube videos, let's call it that. These guys are for building trust. They are not for grabbing attention. Let me say this again. They are for building trust and deepening relationships. They are not for grabbing attention. They don't work for that anymore. Somewhat of an exception to that could be YouTube. YouTube is a powerful force, and YouTube actually does still have a lot of discoverability capabilities. Okay, but even so, 99% of the time, your YouTube channel is serving more to build trust than it is to grab attention. Your thumbnail is for grabbing attention, but your goal with YouTube is to build a relationship. So again, YouTube, blog, podcast, these are all good things to do, but just don't mistake them for attention mechanisms. You need a retention mechanism to build trust. Now, here's where the shift comes in. The shift comes in that we used to think of blog, podcast, YouTube as the attention mechanism. Number two, email marketing being the retention mechanism. The thing is actually email marketing is still a retention mechanism. In my brain, the way I think about it, email marketing is in the same sort of category as your blog, your podcast, your YouTube channel these days. And so if you had to pick one to get started with right away, I would pick email, because what has held is that email is still far better for long-term monetization. Okay, for being able to actually move people from a medium to, say, a sales call or something like that. It's way more likely to happen from an email than from a blog, podcast, or YouTube video or something like that. Okay, so if you only have the bandwidth to start one, start an email list. And the kicker is between steps 1 and 2, you need to do a step 1A, okay, which is to actually get somebody onto your email list through a lead magnet. Again, this is not advice that it's like you've never heard this before. What I'm saying is to do it. You need to have something that is a useful bridge between the way that you got someone's attention and the way that you plan to retain them and keep them on your email list. You need something of value related to the problem that they have and the problem that you solve to make that bridge and make that connection feel natural. So capture their attention, offer to give them something for free, retain them probably through email. Okay, so like, to be real practical, step 1, daily Facebook post. Step 2, weekly email. In the Facebook post, you write your post. The first comment on your post is, if you found this useful and want to go deeper, here's a free lead magnet, or here's a free guide I created, or here's a free PDF, or here's a free email course. Give them the link to sign up for the free thing in the comment of the social media post. It can be that simple. This works if you're doing it on X. It works if you're doing this on Instagram. Okay? It works if you're doing it on Facebook. When you're doing your attention mechanism, by the way, this works if your attention mechanism is a Facebook Reel or if it's a YouTube Short. These are attention mechanisms. Now, short form posts, short form video. Short form is for attention because the attention spans have lessened. You've heard this, but I'm trying to create the logic for you. Today's attention spans are different than they've ever been. So to get attention, you need short form content. For retention, you need long form content, and the more intimate, the better. So you start with your email list, then you build out from there. Once you've got a good mechanism going on that, then you can build out some of those other assets like the blog, the podcast, the YouTube channel. Okay. And then number 3, you call people to action in your retention mechanism for monetization. So you've got attention, retention, and monetization. By the way, I learned those 3 elements. Now, this whole framework, the way I'm thinking about it is mine, but those 3 specific elements I learned from Nicholas Cole. So I want to give credit where it's due. Nicholas Cole is a genius writer, great business guy, strategist, and has some really good ideas. And he's like, the 3 things that any digital business really needs to succeed are those things: attention, retention, and monetization. I actually want to add one to the beginning of that. Some content that I'm going to create around this is you actually need an intention mechanism as well. You need an intention mindset mechanism to determine what it is that you're going to do. But attention, retention, and monetization. So this is the simplest funnel that I can tell you to create. And there's layers upon layers that you can go into this. But if you're not doing these 3 things, then I would argue that any time that you spend fleshing out the layers is a waste of time. You need to be consistently doing these 3 things for months, maybe even for a year or more, consistently. Every single day, this is part of your routine. Before doing anything else makes any sense, because this is the muscle that you need to build. Attention every day, retention every week, and monetization. Again, calling them to action every week in your retention mechanisms to go ahead and to book a call or to move to the next step. I plan to write about this in the Substack, webdesignmba.substack.com. Please go ahead and join me over there. By the way, you can see what I'm doing in real time. This podcast is a retention mechanism, okay? But it's not as strong a retention mechanism as a free email list, okay? And so you can join my Substack for free. That's the free email list. I'm going to send you free stuff every single week. And in that free stuff, I'm also going to call you to action to actually join the paid version of the Substack, which goes into even deeper stuff and gives you practical frameworks. I don't really get into frameworks very much in the free content, but the paid content is full of helpful frameworks to help you apply things to your business and thoughtful, original thinking on how to take your web design business and agency to that next level that you're hoping to get to. We get a lot more specific and a lot more detailed over there. So again, it's the same thing. This podcast is the retention mechanism, and I want to get you into a retention mechanism that's closer to the sale, because I love you. I'm invested in your well-being, but I'm also doing this to make money. It's part of my living. And so I want to get you closer to a vehicle that will be more likely for you to do some business with me so that we can transact and have an even deeper relationship. Okay. And there's nothing sinister about that. It's just how the world works. And it's what I'm trying to teach you to do as well with your with your clients. Something that I have needed to work on in my agency, and of course in this venue as well, this podcast, is attention. Is that first piece, that attention mechanism, right? That's something that this podcast doesn't really have, but it could easily have it with devoted time to creating short form video out of the long form podcast that I create, which has been, in the works for a while, but it just hasn't happened consistently yet. So I need to take my own advice when it comes to that point for this podcast. But you can see where there's a big difference now in today's world between attention and retention. Don't get them confused. They're two different things. And all of that, make sure that you are doing the monetization piece. Call people to action. And what could a call to action be? The two most common that every email you send out should have one of these two calls to action. Let me give you three. The first one is a PS, just letting people know how they can work with you. Okay, that's simple. The second one is a very intentional book a call to action. Hey, if this sounds like something that you're interested in, or you'd like us to help you with this, then here, click on this link, and it'll take you to a scheduler, or either a contact form to fill out, or something to get people to indicate that they're interested in working with you. It can be that simple. Just call them to action and get them to actually do it. The other one would be, hey, if you want help with this specific thing, or you'd like to learn more, reply to this email. And just ask them to write a reply to the email that they are reading. Okay. So again, do something for attention to get eyeballs on it. In that first comment, let them know of a lead magnet or something that they can get to join your email list. Email them weekly and call them to action to monetize and get sales calls. That's the simplest mechanism, and it's something that you can start doing right away, like today, like 5 minutes from now. Okay. God bless. I hope this was helpful. Please join me, webdesignmba.substack.com, and we'll chat soon. God bless. Take care.